Hello everybody, Newborn Keyluk here, and first off, I want to say thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. It has been an amazing trip on YouTube. Thank you so much. And to celebrate 5,000 subscribers, I wanted to showcase some of the theories that all of you have left in the comments below. These are theories or questions that have either sparked a lot of thought-provoking discussion, are very interesting to think about, or are fairly common theories that most of us have had at one point or another. As always, should you end up enjoying the video, consider leaving a like or subscribing. It really helps me out and makes sure that you stay up to date with more awesome Zelda theories and fun content. A quick side note, bear in mind that most of these are in no particular order. And with that, let's get into the top 5 Zelda fan theories from my wonderful commenters. Number 5. Link was a Lon Lon boy. Now, I rather like this theory, even though it does have its plot holes as with any Zelda theory, but this is the idea that Link was actually born to the Lon Lon Ranch family. Granted, the evidence to support this theory is pretty minimal, really the only piece of evidence being that Malon actually talks about her mother composing Epana's song, but we never see her. Maybe this is because she died fleeing with Link, or maybe she left this lazy Mario-looking mother for, I don't know, someone who does work. At all. Ever. I've never seen this guy even touch a farming implement, but anywho's is what, the ranch's location would make Link's mother's trek to the Deku Tree much shorter than from Castletown. About half the distance, actually. However, its location might also put it right in the middle of the battlefield during the war, given the ranch's high walls to keep horses in, or maybe undead out, or both. It seems like this would stand up alright as long as it wasn't targeted directly. However, if it were targeted, escape by horseback would be relatively easy. After all, it is a ranch. Now, as much as I like this idea, we have to take a look at this theory critically. The biggest issue I have with this theory is, why would Link's mother leave the ranch with only one of her children, unless they decided to split up for some reason? However, this point can actually be covered pretty easily. Bear in mind that Link was destined to be the hero. Anyone knowing about this boy's future would make him a priority target during the war. Imagine if someone on the enemy's side was harboring the hero that would become one of the world's best warriors. Granted, this is all speculation, but it would give a reason for Link's mother to separate herself from her family, either to flee a conflict currently taking place or provide safety to those around her. Of course, when you look at things like hair color, it doesn't really make much sense, given that being a redhead is actually a recessive trait to my knowledge. The odds that Malon would even be a redhead are very small, let alone when there are apparently brown-haired genes in the gene pool, and if Link was also in their family as well, then they would have to have blonde as well. So there's 2 layers here of basically making it impossible for Malon to be a redhead. So as far as hair color, it doesn't really fit in too well, but still, the fact that Malon has red hair to begin with is very unlikely, if we're being totally honest. Number 4. What happened while Link was sealed away? Now this one is more of a question than a theory, but I like it nonetheless. That is, what happened during those 7 years when Link was sealed away. Really, we can only look at the aftermath and make some ideas from there. The sages were probably killed during this time. While we don't actually hear of the sages at all during our time as Child Link, with the exception of Kapora Gabora or Rauru, sorry I'm probably mispronouncing that. Anywho's it's what. I believe that any action against these sages before Ganondorf's rise to power would cause too much trouble for the king to even consider an audience with Ganondorf. We also have to take a look at the fact that Redeads litter the streets of Castletown. Now we can assume that some of these are the residents of Castletown, and I wanted to say that they must have died in horrible ways, given, some of the other places that we find the Redeads, like the bottom of the well. However, we also find them in the royal family's tomb, meaning that even those who, assumedly, were put to a peaceful rest can become re-dead, unless they weren't put to peaceful rest because of more royal family shenanigans, but we have no proof of that, so you get off the hook this time, King of Hyrule. We can also probably assume that the different temples were corrupt during the time to prevent the new sages from being awakened, for the same reasons mentioned above. Ganondorf is not stupid. He wouldn't do anything directly to these temples that they would know right before asking for an audience from the king, but stay tuned, we'll actually get back to more of Ganondorf's shenanigans later on in the list. Number 3, Link and Zelda are siblings. Yes, you saw this one coming from a mile away, probably. This is something we all thought at some point in our lives, myself included, probably when we were kids. I've come to find out this is a very common idea when we were younger. Now that we think about it, it's maybe not as big of an idea for us, but hey, it's still fun to think about what we thought about as children. So let's take a look at this theory. It actually stems from A Link to the Past, where Link's uncle says the line, "Zelda is your," just before going unconscious. Now this doesn't really mean much for us looking at the different games because these are all different Links and different Zeldas, and they share the same names but they're ages apart, which means there are some timelines where they may be related, but let's look at Ocarina of Time and see if there's any evidence to support this idea. First off, we have the missing queen. While it is possible to have a king without a queen or vice versa, it does bring up some odd thoughts as to how Zelda came to be. In another theory, I covered this subject in more detail along with some other interesting ideas about Zelda. But to summarize, the King of Hyrule may not have a queen because any outside bloodlines would taint the divinity of the royal family. To my knowledge, the missing queen and Link's missing mothers are really the only two things leading us to believe that they may be related. The implications of this theory are that Link's mother, according to the idea, the queen, fled the castle with Link, but not with Zelda for some reason, across a battlefield during a war to a forest to leave her child with a tree instead of whoever was watching Zelda at the time. When you look at it like this, it seems a bit unreasonable, even if you apply what we talked about with the Lon Lon Ranch theory, where she was trying to create a more safe environment for the rest of her family. There would be plenty of guards to help watch both of them. It would be much safer with all the guards, with Impa even. It would be much safer in that environment than with a bunch of kids in a tree. I mean, I suppose there are a couple scenarios where this might actually make a lot of sense. Like, maybe the king, for whatever, ordered them killed for treason or something like that. Who knows? Maybe the king ordered them away because he was too dangerous to have this boy around. It's really hard to tell. We don't have a whole lot of information on that, but there is one more small piece of evidence that may suggest Link belongs in the royal family somewhere. After Impa teaches Link Zelda's lullaby, she says the following: "The song I just taught you has mysterious power. Only royal family members are allowed to learn the song. Remember, it will help you prove your connection to the royal family." I don't really believe that this means that Link is in the royal family or belongs in the royal family, but it could. I more believe that this is the exception to the rule. After all, Impa was okay with a child sneaking into Zelda's chambers, and she really believes Zelda's prophecy is true, so she wouldn't want to get in the way of Zelda's prophecy by not teaching Link Zelda's lullaby, just because he wasn't in the royal family. Number 2, did any of the different races ever say anything about Ganondorf's evil actions against them? Admittedly, this one is more of a question to think about, again, rather than a theory, but it's one that's been circulating around my comments quite well, and that is that, did any of the races even bother to tell the others about the different actions that Ganondorf was doing to strong-arm them out of their spiritual stones? I mean, the spiritual stones, literally the thing that they are sent to guard as an entire race? Given that these races were recently unified under a single banner, you would think that they would be cooperating in trying to keep the peace. Not to mention that they all have a vital piece to a much larger puzzle in their spiritual stones, literally controlling who is allowed into the sacred realm. I mean, the amount of miscommunications here cannot be understated, and I would really like to know if you have any ideas that could point me towards some facts, maybe to redeem these races. I mean, I'm really hoping that somewhere in the lore it does say, hey, we said something about this, but nobody listened, etc., etc. Number 1, and this is a theory that I actually rather like, as it does clear up some of the plot holes with the Lon Lon Ranch theory or some of the other theories about Link's mother. And that is that Link's family actually lived in the Forest Temple before it was attacked. Of course, the implications of this are that the Forest Temple wasn't necessarily a temple, but more of a manor. It does kind of resemble a manor that maybe like a knight's family might live in, but this theory was brought up not too long ago, actually, and it's a very short and simple theory that covers a lot of the issues that I have with Link's backstory. The theory states that Link's family used to live where the Forest Temple now stands. Again, it kind of resembles a manor. If this manor was attacked at some point during the war, which is probably the most questionable part of this theory when you think about how defensible the area is, with the Lost Woods around the temple and the high ground advantage for a defending force, if it were attacked, it would have a much closer trip to the Great Deku Tree, making it much more likely that Link's mother would actually take Link to the Great Deku Tree. Even though this theory is fairly unlikely, just simply due to the lack of any sort of proof to support it, the reason why I like this theory so much is that it clears the all too invasive question of why would Link's mother travel all the way across a battlefield to give her son to the Great Deku Tree? I mean, why would she be that far from civilization in the first place, leaving any kind of safe haven with her child nonetheless? This theory suggests that the Kokiri Forest was actually the closest place for her family to retreat to, which would make a lot of sense if Link's mother was gravely injured as they say that she was. She would have no problem getting to the children of the Kokiri Forest. Anyway, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. It helps me out an awful lot, and thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. It's been an amazing trip. We are close approaching 6,000 as well, so keep them coming. I love all of you. You guys are amazing. Real quick, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my patrons, George Kasner III, Mark Comer, Emai, Milanus, Jennifer Campney, and Ryan Ellison. They have been so amazing as to support me on Patreon, helping me make amazing videos, theories, and Let's Play content for all of you. If you'd like to join them in helping me out, I would greatly appreciate it. A link will be on screen or in the description below. Real quick, I'd like to point you towards my Super Mario 64 Ocarina of Time playthrough. It has been an amazing mod playthrough, and it's basically the two best games of our childhood put together. So where could it go wrong? Anyway, again, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Genuinely, thank you so much. I am Newborn Kilik, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out.